All right, if you guys would grab out your Focus on Finance Unit Assessment Review, and we're going to go through the entire thing. All right, so number one, a restaurant bill is $85. I want to calculate a 20% tip. So I'm going to create my part, my whole, and my percent. Well, I know my total, which is my bill of $85. I know my percent. Let me scooch it in just a little. I know my percent is 20, and I do not know my part. Now, you can use two different ways to solve this problem. You can use your proportion, part over whole equals percent over 100, or you guys can use your percent equation, which is part is equal to percent times the whole, where the percent needs to be written as a decimal. Okay. For this one, let's go ahead and use the proportion. So that way I'm going to show you one with proportion and one with the equation. So I do not know my part. So I'm going to have x is over 85 is equal to 20 over 100. Well, I know that 100 cannot go into 85 nicely and easily. So I need to scale down or simplify my fraction of 20 over 100. I know that 5 can go into both 20 and 100, so I'm going to divide both top and bottom by 5. Well, 20 divided by 5 is 4. 100 divided by 5 is 20. I still cannot do 20 into 85 because 20 is like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and that doesn't get me any 5s. And I see that it's 4 over 20, and I can reduce this again by 4. So I'm going to do 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So I'm going to rewrite this to make it a little nicer of x over 85 is equal to 1 over 5. And this one seems like it's pretty easy. I need to know how many times can 5 go into 85. So I'm going to divide over here really quickly. Well, 5 can go into 8 one time. And I'm going to do 8 minus 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8 is 3 left over. Bring down the 5. 5 can go into 35 7 times. So 8 times 5 is, or 5 times, 17 is 35 or 85. Cannot speak today. And then 1 times 17 is 17. So your tip for here is $17. All right, let's go ahead and do letter B, calculate a 15% tip. So I'm still missing my part. My whole is still the 85, and my percent is now 15. This time we're going to use our equation. So part is equal to percent times the whole. Well, I need to change my percent into a decimal. So I'm going to move it 2 times to the left to give me 0.15. To have 0.15 times the whole of 85. So I'm going to kind of go over here in the little corner. Times 0.15. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 2 more is 42. Done and placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 8 is 8. I'm going to add these numbers up. I'm going to get 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 8 plus 4 is 12. And have 2 decimal places. So I'm going to move it 2 times to the left to give me my part is $12.75. My part is $12.75. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So Carlos purchases an antique chair at a garage sale for $20. He later sold the chair for $27 to an antique dealer. What was the percent increase in the chair? So this sounds like I need to find my difference, and I need to find the percent increase, which remember our proportion is difference over the original is equal to percent over 100. So I want to know what is the difference between 27 and 20. So I'm going to subtract the 2 numbers to get 7. So my difference is 7 over the original number is 20 is equal to percent over 100. Okay, well, 7 over 20 cannot reduce, but we can scale 20 up to 100 by 5. And what we do on bottom, we must do the exact same thing on top. So 7 times 5 is 35. So this was a 35% increase. All right, 35% increase. All right, so Eva purchased a car for $20,000 1 year later, the value of the car dropped to $16,000. What is the percent decrease? So I'm going to use the same equation, difference over original, or proportion, I'm sorry, is equal to percent over 100. I need to find the difference of my two numbers. So I'm going to subtract my two numbers. So 20,000 minus 16,000. I cannot do 0 minus 6, so I need to borrow and carry. Well, 10 minus 6 is 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. So my difference is 4,000 over the original value of the car, which is 20,000, is equal to percent over 100. All right, 20,000 cannot go into 100, so we're going to have to simplify it, and I'm going to teach you a 10 trick. If you have a 0 at the very end on both the top and the bottom, you can cross out a 0 on top and bottom, and this is the same thing as dividing your number by 10. So I'm going to see that I can do that 1, 2, 3 times. I cannot do it 4 times because I only have 1 on the bottom. I do not have 1 on the top. So we divided our number by 10 3 separate times to give us our new ratio of 4 over 20 is equal to percent over 100. You can only do it if the 0 is on the outside. If the 0 is on the inside of a number like 20 or 201 and you have 40, you can't do it because you have a 1 at the end. It has to be at the very, very, very tail end to be able to mark them out, to be saying you're dividing it by 10. Well, I see that I'm going 20 to 100 again, and we know from number 2 that it's times 5. And so I'm going to times 5 on the top to give me, where can I write this to make it easy to see? There we go, 20% decrease. 20% decrease. The other thing I want to show you guys is that if you see 7 over 20, I'm just going to ask, like, we know that it's 35%. But you all should know that if it's 7 over 20, if this number right here, is it going to be greater or less than 50%? Well, half of 20 is 10, and well, 7 is smaller than 10, so we know it's got to be less than 50. Same thing goes here. 4 is really smaller than 20, and it's super smaller than 10, so we know that it's not going to be anywhere close to 50%. If you guys get to a question where you're like, is this, or is this, all you got to do is just take a look. What's half of it, and are we close to this? If you ever have to estimate. All right, number 4. Determine the amount of state income tax paid for each given income tax rate in income. All right, so I am looking for my part. Okay, I do not know my part because my part is the amount of tax that I'm having to pay. Whole and percent. I just lost my train of thought. So our whole is how much that we made. Our percentage is the income tax rate percent, which we need to turn this into a decimal. So I'm going to move it 2 times to the left to give me 0.07. And in this case, we're going to use the equation as that's much easier to deal with than to use with the proportion. So part is equal to percent times the whole. Part is equal to 0.07 times $45,000. And I want to know, how much income tax are we going to pay if we earn $45,000? Well, 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 8 is 28, 29, 30, 31. And I have 2 place values in all, so I go 1, 2, to see that I'm going to pay $3,150 in income tax. All right, let's try the next one, number 5, sorry. There we go. All right, so we are trying to find the state income tax again, so we do not know our part. Our total is $35,000, and our percent is 4%, which we need to turn this into a decimal, so I'm going to move it 2 times to the left to give me 0.04. All right, so part is equal to percent times the whole. Part is equal to 0.04 times $35,000. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. Yeah, y'all can still see. $35,000 times 0.04. Well, 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 13, 14. I have 2 place values and also 1, 2, to give me a total of $1,400 I'm paying back in taxes. Whoops. There you go. $1,400 you're paying back in taxes. All right. Number 6. Hannah was shopping for a summer dress at a store near her home. On the rack, she found the dress she wanted. She saw 2 signs. The first one read clearance 15% off. The second one read $10 off instant savings. The original price, so the original price of the dress was $65. Hannah lives in Oregon where there's no sales tax, which is false. There is, but for this case, let's go for it. How much will Hannah pay for the 15% discount? How much will she pay for the $10 discount? Which offer will be the better deal for Hannah? Okay, so she can only use one or the other. She cannot use both. So let's go ahead and find our part, our whole, and our percent. So we need to figure out what our part is. Our total is the original price of the dress. And if we use our clearance percentage, it's going to be 15% off, which this is a decimal is 0.15. All right, so let's use the equation. So part is equal to the percent times the whole. So part is equal to, let's do 65 times 0.15. Sorry, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 2 more is 32. Done with the 5, placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 6 is 6. We're going to add these two numbers up. 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 6 plus 3, 679 is 9. I have 2 place values, so I'm going to move it 2 times. To give me my part is $9.75. Now, this is not how much our dress is. This is how much is coming off of our dress. So we need to go back and subtract. So I'm going to go ahead and actually add 2 decimal places, because when you're adding and subtracting decimals, you must line them up. And I see that I have 0 minus 5, so I need to borrow and carry. Well, I need to borrow and carry again to give me 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 7, 8, 9 is 2. 4 minus 9, I cannot do it, so I have to borrow from the 6 to give me 14 minus 9 is 5. Okay, I'm going to bring down my decimal, don't forget, and then bring down the 5. So for our 15% discount, she's going to pay $55.25 for the dress. All right, but let's say we want to use the $10 off discount. So all we need to do is just take our original price, subtract the $10. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 1 is 5. And the dress will be $55 here. Well, which one is going to give her the better deal? Did I do that right? Yes, minus 9.75. Yep, the one that's going to give her the better deal is going to be her $10 off. Sorry, I was double checking my math up here. Is the $10 off discount. All right. All right, number 7. Mr. Sanchi earns a 12% commission on the sales he makes at Roja Cosmetics. Complete the table by determining the amount of commissions he earns each week. Now, we remember that commissions is our part. It's kind of like when you go to a sales clerk or let's say people who sell insurance or who sell like Mary Kay, that's an old like cosmetic your parents would know, or a car dealership. The people that are trying to get you to buy something, they earn a percentage off of what they sell. All right, so let's go ahead and find it for each of these weeks. So I'm going to have part is equal to, oh, there's our percent. There we go. Part is equal to our percent, which 12% as a decimal is 0.12. So I'm going to have 0.12 times my total of 1,500. So I'm going to have 1,500 times 0.12. 0, 0, 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3. Placeholder, 0, 0, 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. 0, 0, 0, 5 plus 3 is 8. And then 1. And I have 2 place values, so I'm going to move it 1, 2. And so for this week, they earned $180. All right, let's look at it for week number 2. We're trying to find the part. So our percent is still 0.12. And our new total for this week is $900. So 900 times 0.12. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 9 is 18. Placeholder, 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 9 is 9. Add these up, 0, 0, 8. two placeholders, and I have a total of $108. And then for week number 3, it looks like that he had a good week this week as he sold $2,000 worth of product. And I want to know how much did he take home as commission. So we're still at the same percentage of 12. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4, done in placeholder. 1 times 0 is 0. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Yep. All right. 0 and 0 and 0 and 4 and 2. 2 placeholders to give him a total of $240 in 3 weeks, or for week number 3. All right. Let's take a look at number 8. All right. So number 8, for electronics galore, they make up their prices to maximize their profits. Complete the table and show the percent increase for each of the items. All right, so we need to find the difference of all of our numbers here. So I'm actually going to work up here to find the difference. So the computer, it started with 540 and it sold for 678. I want to know what is the difference we've got going on here. Well, 8 minus 0 is 8. 7 minus 4, so 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, is 3. And 6 minus 5 is 1. So 138. Let's go ahead and find the difference for all of these. So I need to find the difference here. So 247 minus 190. 7 minus 0 is 7. I cannot do 4 minus 9, so I need to borrow and carry to give me 57. Let's go ahead and do this one. So 322 minus 230. 2 minus 0 is 2. I cannot do 2 minus 3, so I need to borrow and carry. But I can do 12 minus 3 to give me, 7, 8, 9 to give me 92. And then we need to do 99 minus 55. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 5 is 4 to give me 44. All right, so to find the percent increase, remember we have to do the difference over the original. So I'm going to do difference of 138 over the original of 540. Let's go ahead and do that for all of these because I want to show you guys something. So remember how on the first couple of questions, I was saying, if you guys can look to see what about is half over 55, are we going to get? Okay, so let's start with this one right here. 44 over 55. All right. 44 is super close to 55. Like I need just 11 more to get there. Do we think this will be more or less than 50%? Well, our guess is going to be more than 50%. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you with the calculator. Okay. To find this, you would divide the two numbers and we're going to do 44 divided by 55. And I'm going to see, oh, well, that's 80%. That's 0.8, which we need to move it 2 times to give me 80%. So we were right. It was more than 50. All right, 92 over 230. What do you think this is going to be? Do you think it's going to be more or less? So let's round this down to like 90 over 230. Well, I know that half of 200 is 100. Half of 30 is 15. So 115 is half. Do we think 92 is going to be really close to 115? No. So we think this is going to be less than 50. So let's do 92 divided by 230. And look, I get 0.4, which is 40%. So we are right. It's less than 50. All right. What about 57 to 190? Okay. So we know that half of 100 is 50. Okay. So we're getting really close. Half of 90 is 45. So 50 plus 45 is 95. So 95 is half of 190. Do we think 57 is really close to half? No. Are we going to be less or greater than 50%? Okay, think we're going to be less than 50%. So 57 divided by 190. And take a look. I get 30%. So which equals to 0.3, which is 30%. And then let's take the last one. I have 138 over 540. Do you think we're anywhere close to half? No, not anywhere close. Do you think we're close to let's say 40%. Do you think we're close to 40? 30? What about 20%? Because think, I've got 1 to 5. Well, I know 1 over 5 is 20. Do we think we're close to 20%? I would say so. And this is actually, oh, did I do my math right? 678 minus 540, 138 divided by 540, is 25%. 25%. Now, using all of this information, we need to ask which items are more than 25% increase. So which one of these is going to be more? Well, this one is exactly 25. So is it more than? Nope. Which ones are more than 25%? I would say the digital camera. I'm just trying to make sure I did my math right. Yep. Divided by 190. I mean, I was doing all the math with you guys. Divided by 230. 99 minus 55. Yep. All right. So it should be the digital camera, the MP3 player, and the mouse and keyboard. Okay, it should be all three of those. All right, number 9. In Plano, sales tax is 8%. So in Plano, the sales tax is 8. In Pleasant Grove, it is 6%. How much more would you pay in sales tax for a $560 HD TV in Plano, Texas? Well, because we know we're going to pay more in Plano because my sales tax is more. So let's go ahead and find out how much tax we're going to pay for each of these two cities. So we're going to start with our part, our whole, and our percent. Well, we don't know the part for either of them. Our total is $560 for both. But for Plano, it's 8%, which is 0.08. And for Pleasant Grove, it's 6%, which is 0.06. All right, let's go ahead and use our equation for this one. That seems to be the easiest way to go. So part is equal to percent times the whole, where I have part is equal to 0.08 times 560. Can you still see? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to have 560 times 0.08. 8 minus 8, not minus, wow. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 6, 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 more is 44. I have two place values to give me 44.80. And then let's go ahead and find it for Pleasant Grove. So part is equal to 0.06 times 560. So I'm going to do 560 times 0.06. 6 times 0 is 0. Did I do that right? Yeah. Sorry. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 more is 33. Double check myself. Yep. I have two place values, so I'm going to go 1, 2. I'm going to get a part of $33.60. Now, the question is asking, how much more would you pay in Plano, Texas on sales tax? So I want to know the difference of the amount I'm paying in sales tax. So I'm going to have to subtract the two numbers here. 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 3 is 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. So we are paying $11.22 more in Plano. So you need to subtract your two numbers together. All right. Number 10. Yep. All right. Number 10. Determine the simple interest for each principal over the given amount of time. All right. So let's rewrite our formula. I is equal to PRT, where I know P is equal to 2,000. My rate is 3, but I need to change that to a decimal, so 0.03. And T is equal to 10. So I'm going to have I is equal to 2,000 times 0.03 times 10. So let's go ahead and multiply the first two numbers together. So 2,000 times 0.03. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 decimal places to give me 60 times 10. Well, remember our tens trick. You can multiply the first two numbers together. Do 6 times 1 is 6. Add our two zeros, and we're going to get 600. So our interest is $600. All right, let's try it for the next one. So our principal is $4,000. Our rate is 4.5%, which move it 2 times to the left, which gives me 0.045. And T is equal to 5 years. So I is equal to 4,000 times 0.045 times 5. We're going to multiply the first two numbers together. So I have 4,000 times 0.045. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Done in placeholder. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. Done. And you can add your placeholder, but then when you do 0 times anything, it's going to give you 0. All right, so 0, 0, 0, 0. 6 plus 2 is 8. 1 plus 0 is 1. You have 3 place values, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to give me 180. And this is going to be times 5 years. So I'm going to do 180 times 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 1 is 5. 6, 7, 8, 9 to give me 9. So my interest earned after 5 years is $900. My interest earned after 5 years is $900. All right, let's take a look down at net worth statements. So vocabulary, complete each sentence using vocabulary word from your lessons. So I have net worth, asset, and liability. So this includes the value of all accounts, investments, and things that you own. Number 12 is your blank is a calculation of the value, everything that you own minus the amount of money that you own. And this is a financial obligation or debts that you must repay. Okay, so to remember all of this, assets is something that is good to you. Okay, liabilities is something that is bad towards you. You owe it. And net worth is how much you're worth once you calculate the two together. So let's take a look back at this. So blank include the value of all accounts, investments, and things that you own. Well, that sounds like assets to me. Because assets is everything that I own that's good to me. Your blank is a calculation of the value of everything that you own minus the amount of money that you owe. This is your net worth. To find it, you take everything of value that you have, so your assets minus your liabilities, which means this last one is blank, our financial obligations or debts that you must repay, which the last one is our liability. This is everything that is bad to us. All right, number 15. Create a net worth statement that determines Joan's net worth. So I need to separate all of these out into good and bad. So Joan's account, so business loan. Well, remember, anything with the word loan is going to be a liability. So I'm going to say B loan, and I'm going to say it's 200,000. So we got this one done. 403, remember, this is like a savings account, but for like when you're much, much older. So in our 403 account, it's 65,780. Done with that one. Oh, look, here's that loan word again, vehicle loan. So I'm going to say V loan. And this is 65,900. Certificate of deposit. This means we are adding money to our bank account. And that's $30,000. That's an asset. Our home. So when we see just home, this is the value of our home, which is $230,000. And then investments, which is a good thing to us. We are investing. And our investments is $35,000. All right. We need to add up both sides together, or not together, sorry, both sides separate. So let's go ahead and do the liabilities. So I'm going to have 200,000 plus 65,900. 0, 0, 0 plus 9 is 9, 0 plus 5 is 5, 0 plus 6 is 6, and then bring down the 2 to give me a grand total of $265,900. And then for the assets, I'm going to line all of my numbers up. So I'm going to start with, let's start with a large one of 230,000. I'll show you guys here in just a second. 65,780, 30,000, and then 35,000. All right, and so then we're going to add all our numbers up together. If you guys are not good at adding more than one number, like more than two numbers at a time, please just add them up. Do 1, 2, and then another 2. But I'm going to show you my tricks of how I do add up multiple numbers at once. So zeros plus zeros is 0. I see that the only number I have in here is 8. The only number I have here is 7. Bring down the decimal place. So 0 plus 5 is 5, plus 0 is still 5, plus 5 more. So 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. All right, so I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Carry the 1. So 2, 3, and 3. And it's that simple. All right, so I have $360,780 in assets. Now, remember to find the net worth. It is our assets minus our liabilities. So we're going to do 360,780 minus 265,900. 0 minus 0 is 0. 8 minus 0 is 8. 7 minus 9, I cannot do that, so I need to borrow and carry all the way down. 17 minus 9 is 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. 5 minus 6, I cannot do, so I need to borrow and carry. But 15 minus 6, 4 is 9, to give me a net worth of, and 2 minus 2 is 0, $94,880. $94,880. All right, I'm going to double check my math because remember, we are all human and make mistakes. Yep. All right. So let's look down at personal budgets, number 16. So the circle graph represents the after-tax budget of the Williams family. If the total monthly budget is $3,785, so my total is this. What is the best estimate for the food budget? Okay, so it sounds like I'm looking for my part. I don't know my part. I know my total budget is $3,750. And I want to know how much do I spend. So what's the best estimate on that? So I need to look to see where food is. And I see that food is right here. And I don't have a percentage. But I do know that the entire circle, everything added up together, is equal to 100%. So I need to add up what I know and subtract it from 100%. So I'm going to have 33%, 12%, 20%, and 18%. So let's go ahead and add these up. Well, 2 and 8 is 10, plus 3 more is 13. 3 plus 1 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is 83%. So from here to here is 83%. I want to know what is left over for food. So I'm going to do 100 minus 83. I have to borrow and carry. Oops, let's go ahead and just do 9 and 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 1 is 1, or 9 minus 8 is 1, sorry, to give me 17%. All right, so this needs to turn into a decimal of 0.17. So let's go ahead and get our good estimate. So let's use our equation. Part is equal to percent times the whole. So part is equal to 0.17 times the whole of 3,750. 3,750 times 0.17. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 7 is 49. 50, 51, 52. 7 times 3 is 35. Plus 5 more is 40. Done in placeholder. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 3 is 3. Add everything up together. 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 0 is 7. 4 plus 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is 7. A lot of sevens. Move your decimal 2 times to the left to give you a close estimate of $770.50. $770.50. Ooh, did I miss something? 4. Oh, I did. I totally messed up. I'm sorry. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 5 more is 26, not 40. 26. Oh, okay, hang on. I did. I don't know why I said 40. Whoops, there we go. Okay, so 21 plus 5 is 6. All right, so let's add these up again. 5 plus 2, 5, 6, 7 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. There we go. I was like, why am I not on the same track? So to give me a total of $637.50 should be spent on food. There we go. I was thinking of 5s from earlier. All right, y'all fix your mistake, or actually my mistake, I'm sorry. All right, and then on to the back, we got one more, one big one. Okay, so the Ramirez family has created a list of anticipated monthly expenses. So I've got the mortgage, the property, utility, the bills, the transportation, entertainment, and miscellaneous. Determine the percentage of the total monthly expenses represented by each category on the list. Okay, which means I want to know the percent of everything that's going on. So all of these numbers are my part, and I need to find the total so I can be able to find the percentage. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add up all of our numbers. So 1140, 360, 225, 600, 300, 180, and 195. You need to add up all of your numbers together. All right, so I see I have 5 plus 5, which is 10. All right, 6 plus 4, which is 10, 11, so one more is 11, 12, 13, so I have 13, 8 and 9 is 17, so let's go ahead and add these up here, so I have 30, so this is 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to hold on to that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 2 and 1 is 3. So 3,000. All right, so let's go ahead and just double check because this is a lot of numbers. Now, I do not suggest adding all of these up together like this all at once. These are a lot of numbers to do this. Yep, 3,000. I would honestly, if I was in your shoes, I would add these two numbers, these two, and then bring out the 195. So what, that's 480, 6, 7, 8, that's 825. That would be 0, 6, which is 10, which would get here, 3, 4, 5, so it'd be 1, so 1,500. And then I would add those 4 numbers up. That would have made it a much easier. Okay, but just showing you that there are multiple ways that you guys can add these numbers up to get to your answer. So let's go through here and let's put our part over our total and set it up. So for the mortgage, it's 1140 over 3,000. For the property tax, it's 360 over 3,000. For utility bills, it is 225 over 3,000. For the food, it is 600 over 3,000. For transportation, it is 300 over 3,000. For the entertainment, it's 180 over 3,000. And then for miscellaneous, it's 195 over 3,000. Whoops, y'all cannot see that. I'm sorry. It's a lot of numbers. There we go. Okay, so all I did was I took every single part from up here and I put it over my total. And we know that it's going to equal to our percent over our 100. Okay. And let's go ahead and I'm going to tell you guys a trick. To get to your percent, all you're really doing is the top divided by the bottom. So you're just going to divide your two numbers together. And so let's go ahead and do 1140 divided by 3,000. And you should get 38% here because you get 0.38. So we need to turn it over to a percentage. 360 divided by 3,000 is 12% of your budget. 225, whoops, not 0, divided by 3,000 is going to give me 7.5% of our budget. 600 divided by 3,000 is going to give us 20% of our budget. 300 divided by 3,000 is going to give us 10% of our budget. 180 divided by 3,000 will give us 6% of our budget, and then 195 divided by 3,000 will give us 6.5% of our budget. Okay. Without using a calculator for you guys to figure out how to do this, let's go ahead and use this one. The bottom number is the one that's on the outside. The top number is the one that's on the inside. Well, 3,000 cannot go into 180, so you have to add a decimal. He cannot go into 1,800, so that's 0, so you have to add in another 0. And how to figure out where it's going to go, I honestly would do 3,000 times 5. I would start at 5 and just multiply to see what are my multiples of this. And I know that 5 times 3 is not 30, it is 15. I just can't do math today. It is 15, 1, 2, 3. And I know that 15 is a little bit bigger or under that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try it again. So 3,000, I'm going to go up 1, 0, 0, 0, and 18. Well, I see that 3,000 times 6 is 18,000 to do this, to figure out that I'm going to subtract to get 0. And then you're going to get your decimal, which then remember you need to move it 2 times to the right to get to your percentage of 6%. All right, and then the very last thing, letter B, it says fill in the table the above categories for whether they are fixed or variable. Now, remember, a fixed expense is something that, I'll even write it here, something that never changes in price. And variable expense is something that will fluctuate, F-L-U-X, or I'm going to say flux or change. There we go. That's a better word. Change in price per month. Okay, so let's go up here and let's find the F's and the E's. So for our mortgage payment, that's fixed. Our mortgage payment will always be the exact same no matter what. So per month, I'm still going to spend $1,140. Property taxes, that's a fixed thing. Okay, our utility bills, that's fixed. Our food, that's a variable because that's going to change depending upon what we're doing. All right, our transportation, that's going to be fixed. Our entertainment, that's a variable depending on whether we have more or less money each month. And then the miscellaneous is obviously going to be variable because that's just what's left over or what, we have to spend money on this time. Like you have a different bill or you're able to go on a trip and those different things. So we're going to write our fixed variables here. So mortgage, our property tax, so property tax, our utility bills, and then the last one is transportation. Because you have to have a fixed amount to get from place to place each day. All right, and then our variable expenses was our food. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. We have our entertainment. And then the last category is our miscellaneous. All right, if you guys have any questions, please let us know.